Well, welcome back, folks, to another episode of The Bible and Music. This is Darren.
And this is Rick.
And today we're going to keep with the same format that we did last time. We're going to explore the biography of the composer that we were introduced to, and then dive into some of his early works, and then ultimately we'll culminate the episode in a listening of his piece, In the Beginning of Creation.
All right.
Today we're exploring Daniel Pinkham, who was born in 1923 and sadly passed away in 2006. He was a composer, an organist, and a harpsichordist. He attended Harvard, and notably, he was a student alongside Aaron Copland.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so big minds coming together at the same place.
Yeah.
After Harvard, he taught at the Boston Conservatory in 1946. And then in 1959, he was a teacher at the New England Conservatory of Music until his death in 2006.
That's a resume.
Yeah, very long time teaching at a renowned American school. It's not the traditional European school, but it's close.
Yeah.
It's sort of the Harvard. It's the comparison Harvard to Oxford, as the New England Conservatory of Music is to whichever is the one in Zurich that our Otto Luning studied at.
Right.
If you want to check out Otto Luning, you can take a look at last week's episode. So, Pinkham, I think he composed a lot of his pieces for organ. He was an organist at King's Chapel in Boston for 42 years. So, spent a lot of time behind the organ, named Composer of the Year in 1990 by the American Guild of Organists, and then Musician of the Year in 2006. And I think this coincides with his rendition of Make Way for Ducklings, which is his musical piece that is meant to be played for families. There's a popular children's book.
Right, I was just going to mention that.
Called Make Way for Ducklings. So, very, very renowned composer, especially in the modern sense in America. And for those jazz aficionados, one of his students, his notable students, is Gigi Grice, a jazz musician and composer. I don't know anything about her, but or him. I suppose I shouldn't be assuming. But at any rate, this is the gentleman that we're going to be exploring here today. So, very long history of teaching and composing, and renown. He's won some awards as well. So, let's have a listen to one of his pieces.
Okay, so that was the Christmas Cantata by David Pinkham.
Yeah.
Daniel Pinkham.
Pinkham.
That was the Christmas Cantata by Daniel Pinkham.
Yes. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah, very big.
I didn't expect it to be that. I expected it to be, I don't know why, but I just kind of expected it to be like just sterile and two-dimensional, but it wasn't. It jumped right out.
Well, I think his propensity for featuring the organ stands out.
Oh, yeah.
He's an organist, and so that is going, and you cannot write a piece with organ without the organ standing out. You simply can't. It's too big.
Right.
And so I think that's immediately what we're hearing, that bang, real big in the background.
Right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but very neat, very cool stuff that we're working with, and I think it demonstrates really that Daniel Pinkham is a true composer in the same way that Beethoven and Bach would, being the most prominent example of an organist who is a composer. He's a true composer, Pinkham. And so, and I think given that a lot of his pieces, and I hadn't gotten to this earlier, but a lot of his pieces are actually meant for services, which is why we have this Christmas cantata.
Yeah, there's wedding services, music.
Advent cantatas, wedding services. So I think he is pretty inspired by the Christian ethos. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to know that in the beginning of creation, there's
one of his pieces.
Yeah, which is the piece we'll get to, is the one that is he's, I'm sure, done his homework on Christianity, understands the Bible, has thought about it, meditated on it.
Well, let's see if I can find an organ piece of his.
Yeah, okay.
I'd be interested in checking that out.
Yep.
So here we get a flavor of some of his organ compositional style with the sonata for organ and strings.
Yes.
And it had like a little concerto-ness to it, how it would be solo organ, back and forth to the strings, solo organ, back to the strings.
Yeah.
There's like a little dialogue going on.
Yeah, it was nice, although in this particular piece, I think the people recording did great in drawing out the sound of the strings, because generally an organ can be overwhelming.
Correct.
And in this case, it is not. In fact, the strings are sort of the presence, the foreground, and you kind of have to listen in for the organ.
Right.
Which I like, and that could be part of his compositional style, is that understanding that he's an organist. Let's try to tone down the organ and see if we can keep it in the background.
With great power comes great responsibility.
That's right. That's right.
And he knows that.
Right.
He can knock your socks off if he's not careful.
Yes. And if you'd like to explore some more of Daniel Pinkham's music, you can find it on Spotify. There are tons of his albums that you can see. He has another one where it's organ and brass compositions.
Nice.
So probably going to be a little bit more heavy on the organ in those instances.
Yeah, to match power with the brass.
Exactly. He's got full works of piano pieces that you can take a look at. So
cool.
a true composer of the modern era. And in fact, the fact that he's on Spotify, I think, demonstrates that.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, let's listen to one of his a cappella pieces in the beginning of creation. And it's only 3 minutes long, so we'll get to hear the whole piece in its entirety.
Yep.
In one shot. Oh, by the way, I couldn't find a clean recording of this, so the quality of the recording is going to be a little poor, but it's just something we couldn't pass up, so we're going to give it our best.
Okay.
Well, that was pretty killer.
Yeah.
That was really neat. I mean, he just had vocal pyrotechnics. I was wrong. I thought it was a cappella, but there are some instruments. Very minimal instrumentation. For all intents and purposes. It was 99% vocals. But he was doing some vocal pyrotechnics that were just outstanding.
Yeah.
Fireworks. And I liked how he just had cacophony. Everybody was just saying something different. He started off, they were all whispering. And then it slowly built, and then everybody was just talking, and it was chaos. And that's what it was. It was chaos.
Right.
And that's exactly what we have in the beginning of creation. There was chaos, and he explored that to its fullest. And then right when you thought that it was unorganized, it stopped. Which meant there was an organizing, conducting principle behind it all. And then when he said light, oh man, I got chills.
Yeah, and then
cool.
It was all, and then they were all singing, and God said, let there be light.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that was great.
And I think some of the sounds in the background, while I think he probably had those in an orchestra, I know that he is also a tape musician, much like who we explored last week, Otto Luning. And so I think some of the sounds that he gets in there are actually...
May have been intentional, not the idiot who was recording it?
No, I don't think so. I think they may have been intentional. So, but an interesting...
Well, there was one point where I could have sworn the choir was just hissing.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Yeah.
Almost to emulate the tape recorder, the hiss of a tape recorder. That's what came to my mind, anyway.
It could be.
In almost in that, there's no silence.
Right.
Even in space, there's no silence. Now that we've discovered, like you said, they've taken these dishes and they've recorded the frequencies from outer space.
Right.
And here we thought space was empty and void and nothing in it, with the absence of anything, but there is actually something there. And so that's kind of what I was getting when they were hissing, that there is really no silence. There's a little something there.
Right, even if it's just a light hiss or a dull hum.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And again, as we explored earlier, Pinkham is a true composer, so he doesn't do anything by accident. These are all very intentional compositional pieces. Every single line on a piece of sheet music there is a purpose for it. And so I think you're right. I don't know what his intention was for the hiss, but I think that's a good theory that you have.
So it was really enjoyable. I'm glad we stumbled upon him.
Yeah, he's a really interesting composer. Really likes to use the choir, I think, more so than most.
Yeah.
So, but very cool stuff. Is that it for Pinkham?
Yeah, I think so, but, well, yes and no. It's all for today. We'll revisit him again.
All right. Sounds good. Well, as always, I hope everyone enjoyed this piece. Please do look into Daniel Pinkham's music. has been very enjoyable, and we'll see you guys next time.
Until next time.